Good morning, Albert Eagles. It is May 13th, 2020. All right, so I got a request from Sophia asking if we could walk through multiplying decimals. Again, and just like she did, she messaged me. If there's anybody that has a skill that you want me to review or one that you think you need more practice on, please let me know and I'll do my best to find a worksheet like I did here and go ahead and work through it. So we won't do any warm up today or anything like that. We'll just kind of concentrate on multiplying decimals. So a couple things about multiplying decimals before we get started. When you multiply decimals, the thing you're going to want to line up, or the thing you want to keep inside your head, is we're going to line up the numbers. Now, that's not to say decimals won't ever line up, because sometimes they can line up, but our main priority here is lining up the numbers. Basically, think about it like this. You are trying to multiply numbers, and they just happen to have a decimal in it. Well, if, for example, if you were multiplying, I don't know, let me find some room down here. If I was, got enough room down here. If I said, okay, we're going to do 223 times 17, okay? And technically those have invisible decimals on it. You wouldn't say, okay, well, I got to line up the decimals. You would take the 223 and then you'd put the 17 right there. Basically, you'd line up the ones places and you'd line up the tens places. That's the same thing you're doing here. You just have to completely ignore the decimal. Just kind of pretend it's not there. Because honestly, the only time you're going to use it is at the end when we figure out, all right, where does the decimal finally go when we're done multiplying? Kind of like what they did over here. You see they eliminate the decimal, pretend it's not there, and then they put it back where it needs to go. And we'll talk about figuring out the right spot of where it needs to go each time. So let's start with this first one. And again, pause the video, work the problem out, check it over with me. We have 7.3 times 9.6. All right, so we're multiplying. I'm completely ignoring these decimals. We're going to start with this 6. Now remember, this 6 in the ones place, it's going to multiply against the 3, and then after we go to the 3, we're going to keep moving to the left, and we'll go to the 7. There's no more numbers after that, so just 3 and the 7. So the first one, 3 times 6 is going to be 18. Put the 8 down, carry the 1. And then we do 6 times 7. 6 times 7 is 42, plus the 1 is 43. Nowhere else to carry it, so I drop down the whole 43. Now I'm done with the 6, so I need to move on to the 9. To be able to do that, because it's in the next place over, I need to cross the number on the top, the carryover number, and drop a 0. I'm going to form my next row. Now just like the 6 went to the 3 and the 7 in that order, we're going to do the same thing with the 9. 9 to the 3, then 9 to the 7. Notice again, I'm still completely ignoring these decimals. I don't want to deal with them right now. 9 times 3 is going to be 27. 7 goes here, carry the 2. 9 times 7 is 63. 63 plus 2 is going to be 65. Nowhere to carry it, so I drop down the whole thing. Still ignoring the decimals, we're going to go ahead and add the problem up. 8 plus 0 is 8. 3 plus 7 is 10. Carry the 1. 1 plus 4 plus 5 is 10. Carry the 1. And 1 plus 6 is 7. So we have 7008. Okay, now here's where the decimals are finally going to come back into play. You need to go up here and figure out what digits are actually behind the decimal or to the right of the decimal. So, on 7.3, look at each one of these basically individually. There is one number behind the decimal. It's a 3. And on the number 9.6, there's one number behind the decimal. It's a 6. So that's a total of 2 numbers behind the decimal. If our problem had 2 numbers behind the decimal when we multiplied, our answer needs to have 2 numbers behind the decimal. So I need to count the first, starting over here, counting to the left, 1, 2 digits, and then put my decimal there. So now I have 2 digits behind the decimal. So the answer to this would be 70.08. So again, we completely ignored that decimal until we got to the very end, and then we put it where it needed to go. All right, so this next one, and something a little different about this one, a little tricky. 46.3 times 0.8. Now on this one, and here's something I like to do each time, and again, we're just trying to save time. Technically, this 0 is completely irrelevant. It does not change this problem whatsoever. If we were to multiply, we'd end up with 0, 0, 0, and it would just add up. So what I like to do is, if the 0 is not in between numbers, it's really useless, and so we don't really even need to mess with it, which again saves us time. So a 0 like this, now this one didn't have one, but a 0 like this is useless, so we'll go ahead and cross that one off. We don't need to worry about it. So we'll start with the 8. Again, I'm completely ignoring decimals here. So with the 8, we'll go to the 3 first. 8 times 3 is 24. Carry the 2. 8 times 6 is 48. plus that 2 is going to be 50. 0, carry the 5. And 8 times 4 is 32. 32 plus 5 is going to be 37. Okay, there's no other number because I got rid of that 0. Again, if I didn't get rid of that 0, and let's say that confuses you, okay, fine, do the 0. But you're going to get 0, 0, 0. So it doesn't change the value at all. It's, like I said, it's useless. So let's just leave 3704. Now I go back up to the top of my number and find out how many numbers were behind the decimal. Okay, on 46.3, the only number that is to the right of the decimal is this 3. And on 0.8, there is one number behind the decimal. To the right of it, it's an 8. So that's a total of 2 numbers. So just like the last one, I need to make sure I have 2 numbers behind the decimal. 1, 2, put my decimal right there, 37.04. All right, moving down here to another one. 29.5 times 1.3. They went ahead and lined the numbers up. The decimals just happened to line up as well. No zeros to eliminate, so we're just going to completely ignore the decimals and start multiplying. 3 times 5 is going to be 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 9 is 27. 27 plus 1 is 28. Put the 8 down, carry the 2. And 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. I'm done with the 3, so I need to move on to the 1. To be able to do that, let's go ahead and cross off the carrier numbers and put down a placeholder 0. And here we go with the 1. 1 times 5 is going to be 5. 1 times 9 is going to be 9. And 1 times 2 is 2. So we're going to add it up, still ignoring the decimals. 5 plus 0 is 5. 8 plus 5 is 13. Carry the 1. 1 plus 8 plus 9 is 18. Carry the 1. And 1 plus 2 is 3. So now we have to put the decimal in the right spot. To figure it out, let's find out how many numbers are to the right of the decimal in each one of the numbers at the top. Start with 29.5. The only one behind the decimal is a 5, so that's 1 digit. And on 1.3, the only one behind it is a 3. So that's a total of 2 digits, just like the last two. Make sure I have 2 numbers behind that decimal. My answer is 38.35. Keep this thing going. Okay, so on this one, you notice the decimals are not lined up. The numbers are, but the decimals are not. So, and if it looks like 4 isn't really under 7, it's just because the decimal's there. If we were to write it out, or if I were to write it out, I would make sure the numbers are exactly lined up, but those are lined up. No zeros to get rid of, so let's start with the 8. 8 times 6 is 48, carry the 4. 8 times 7 is 56, plus 4 is 60, put the 0 down, carry the 6. 8 times 3 is 24, 24 plus 6 is 30. Nowhere to carry it, so we drop the whole thing. We're ready to move on to the 4, so let me cross off those 2 numbers and drop a 0 at the bottom. Here we go with the 4. 4 times 6 is 24, carry the 2. 4 times 7 is 28, 28 plus 2 is 30, 0, carry the 3. And 4 times 3 is 12, 12 plus 3 is 15, nowhere to carry it, so we drop the whole thing. Let's add it up first, and then we'll deal with the decimal. 8 plus 0 is 8, 0 plus 4 is 4, 0 plus 0 is 0, 3 plus 5 is 8, and we'll bring down the 1. Now I need to go back and count how many numbers are behind the decimal. On 3.76, this time I actually have 2 numbers. The 7 and the 6 are to the right of the decimal, so I have 2 on that one. And then on 4.8, I have 1 to the right of the decimal. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal. Make sure I have 1, 2, 3 numbers, and then put the decimal right here. So that way 3 numbers are to the right. 18.048 would be the correct answer. All right, let's try number 6. 9.07 times 6.5. Now I see a 0 here, but see it's in between 2 numbers. Can't eliminate it. It has to stay. So we'll go ahead and start with the 5. 5 times 7 is 35. Carry the 3. 5 times 0 is going to be 0. Plus 3 is going to be 3. And then 5 times 9 is 45. Nowhere to carry it, so drop the whole thing. We're ready to move on to the 6. So we're going to get rid of the 3. Drop down our placeholder 0. Start with the 6. 6 times 7 is 42. Carry the 4. 6 times 0 is 0, plus 4 is 4. And 6 times 9 is 54. Nowhere to carry it, so we drop the whole thing. Alright, here we go adding. 5 plus 0 is 5. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. 4 plus 4 is 8. And bring down the 5. Now I want to go back and count my decimals, so I put them in the right place. On 9.07, there are 2 numbers to the right of the decimal. And on 6.5, there is 1 number. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3. I need to make sure I have 1, 2, 3. Put the decimal right there. 58.955. All right, now these we're going to have to stack up on our own. They didn't do it for us. So here's the way I would do it. First off, it doesn't really matter which number as long as, okay, so let me rephrase that. Whichever one has the most amount of digits, that's the one we're going to want to put on top, because it's going to make our life a lot easier. Now, on these first one, I see 0.42 and 75.3. That's 1, 2, 3 numbers, 1, 2, 3. So technically, this one doesn't matter which one goes on top. However, because I know I'm going to get rid of that 0, it's not really going to be there. 0.42 really only has 2 digits. This one has 3, so I'm going to put this one on top. So here's how I would do it. 75.3 is going to go right on top. Now, if you have trouble thinking, oh, I can't line it up here, start like this. So I know I'm writing down 0.42. Okay? Work it backwards. Okay? Put the first number right here. It's the 2. The next thing is going to be the 4. And then put the point. So I still end up with 0.42, but I'm able to kind of line it up because I worked it backwards. Now, if that doesn't make any sense to you, just do it how you normally, the 4, the 2, and then put the point. Remember, we're not worried about the decimal lining up with the number. We're just lining up the numbers. The decimals just happen to be there. But if it helps you, work it backwards so you can kind of make sure it's all lined up perfectly. All right, we already talked about, we got rid of the 0 on this one, so now we just need to multiply. 2 times 3 is going to be 6. 2 times 5 is going to be 10, carry the 1. And 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. We're going to cross off that 1, ready to move on to the 4, so we drop a 0. 4 times 3 is 12, carry the 1. 4 times 5 is 20, 20 plus 1 is 21, carry the 2. And 4 times 7 is 28, 28 plus 2 is 30. Drop the whole thing. All right, going to add these up, and we get 6 plus 0 is 6, 0 plus 2 is 2, 5 plus 1 is 6, 1 plus 0 is 1, and bring down the 3. Now I need to go back and count my decimals. On 75.3, I only had one number to the right of the decimal, and on 0.42, both of these numbers are to the right of that decimal. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3 numbers. I need to make sure I have 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal, so 31.626. All right, let's look at number 8. This one, 5.6, has 2 digits. 61.84 has 4 digits, so I want to put this one on top. 61.84. And again, I'm going to work it backwards, kind of make my life easier. I see 5.6. I know the 6 is going to go here. Put the point. And I know the 5 is going to go under the 8. So 5.6, now that's lined up. No zeros to get rid of, so let's go ahead and work it out. 6 times 4 is 24. Carry the 2. 6 times 8 is 48. Plus 2 is 50. 0. Carry the 5. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus 5 is 11. Carry the 1. And 6 times 6 is 36. Plus 1 is 37. All right, ready to move on to 5. So let's cross off all those numbers, still ignoring the decimals, and drop my 0. 5 times 4 is 20. Carry the 2. 5 times 8 is 40. 40 plus 2 is 42. Carry the 4. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 4 is 9. And 5 times 6 is going to be 30. Nowhere to carry, nothing to add, so we drop the whole thing. All right, adding these up. 4 plus 0 is 4. 0 plus 0 is 0. 1 plus 2 is 3. 7 plus 9 is 16, carry the 1. 1 plus 3 plus 0 is 4, and bring down the 3. A lot of numbers there, but same thing we've been doing before. Let's go back and count how many numbers are to the right of the decimal. 61.84 has 2, and 5.6 only has 1, so that's a total of 3 numbers behind the decimal. So we have 1, 2, 3, put the decimal down, 346.304. All right, moving on to the next one. 7 point, going to count digits first to figure out what number goes on top. 7.5 only has 2, and 18.74 has 4, so let's put the 18.74 on the top. And if it's hard for you to line these up, let's work it backwards. Put the 5 down first, then the point, and then the 7. So it's lined up. All right, here we go with the 5. 5 times 4 is 20, carry the 2. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 2 is 37, carry the 3. 5 times 8 is 40. 40 plus 3 is 43. Carry the 4. And 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 4 is 9. Cross all those numbers off. Drop down to 0. Start with 7. 7 times 4 is 28. Carry the 2. 7 times 7 is 49. 49 plus 2 is 51. Carry the 5. 7 times 8 is 56. Plus 5 is going to be 61. Carry the 6 on top of the 1. Sorry, my numbers are getting crowded here. Didn't leave enough space. And 7 times 1 is going to be, because it's a 1, 7 plus 6 is going to be 13. Drop down that whole number. All right, so let's add this up. 0 plus 0 is 0. 7 plus 8 is 15. Carry the 1. 1 plus 3 plus 1 is 5. 9 plus 1 is 10, carry the 1. 1 plus 3 is 4, and bring down the 1. It looks like I have a total of 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal, so I need 1, 2, 3, the decimal right there. 140.550. All right, this last one. First off, 0.9, I see that that's a 0 I can eliminate, so let me get rid of that. 0.9 only has one digit, 53.8 has 3 digits. So let's put the 53.8 at the top. If I'm lining this one up, let me do the 9 right here, and then the point. Obviously, I'm not going to have to drop a 0 on this one because I only have one digit at the bottom, so this will make it a little bit quicker. 9 times 8 is 72, carry the 7. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 plus 7 is going to be 34, carry the 3. And 9 times 5 is 45. 45 plus 3 is going to be 48. So we need to go back and count how many numbers to the right of the decimal. On 53.8, there is one number, the 8, and on 0.9, there is also one number. So that's a total of 2 numbers, 1, 2, put the decimal right here, 48.42. All right, last 2 down here we can get practice with. Aretha runs a marathon in 3.25 hours. Neil takes 1.6 times as long to run the same marathon. How many hours does it take Neil to run the marathon? Well, if he's running 1.6 times as long, they want us to multiply. I see 3.25 has 3 digits, 1.6 has 2 digits, so let's do the 3.25 on the top. Hopefully I have enough room down here, and we'll do the 1.6 underneath. So again, I'm going to write this down backwards, if that helps. 6 under the 5, put the point, and then the 1 down, and now let's multiply. 6 times 5 is going to be 30, 0, carry the 3. 6 times 2 is 12, 12 plus 3 is 15, carry the 1. And 6 times 3 is, lost it for a second, 18 plus 1 is 19. All right, we're going to cross out those 2 numbers, drop a 0 down here at the bottom. 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 3 is 3. All right, don't really have enough room. I'll rewrite my answer over here. I'm adding, but I'm just writing the digits over here. 0 plus 0 is 0. 5 plus 5 is 10, carry the 1. 1 plus 9 plus 2 is 12, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 3 is 5, so I end up with 5200. I need to go back and count how many numbers are behind the decimal. So I have 2 and a 5 on the first one, and a 6 on the bottom one. So that's 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal. 1, 2, 3. Put the decimal in between the 5 and the 2, so I end up with 5.2 or 5.200. Remember, those zeros don't really change the value, so you don't have to put them on there. And the last one. Tiffany catches a fish that weighs 12.3 pounds. Frank catches a fish that weighs 2.5 times as much as Tiffany's fish. How many pounds does Frank's fish weigh? Okay, so again, they tell us we're going to multiply. 12.3 has 3 digits. 2.5 only has 2 digits. So we're going to put this one on top first. 12.3, if I'm lining the 2.5, I'm going to put the 5 under the 3, the point, and the 2. Kind of working backwards. Let me line that up. What's up, bud?
Now can you do the water thing?
Let me finish this last problem, then I can, okay, bud? All right. 5 times 3 is going to be 15, carry the 1. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 1 is 11, carry the 1. And 5 times 1 is 5 plus 1 is 6. Get rid of those 2 numbers, drop a 0 down here at the bottom. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times 1 is 2. Thought I learned my lesson about stacking these up. I have to rewrite it over here. 5 plus 0 is going to be 5. 1 plus 6 is going to be 7. 6 plus 4 is going to be 10, carry the 1, and 1 plus 2 is going to be 3. I check to see how many numbers are to the right of the decimal. That would be the 3 on the 12.3 and the 5 on the other one. That's a total of 2 numbers. 1, 2, decimal goes right here, 30.75. All right, hopefully that helped. If there is someone else that has something that they would like for me to work out, just make sure you message me. Otherwise, I'm going to go back to adding fractions tomorrow, kind of picking up where I left off. But again, if you have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow.